You've been involved in an accident and you're not sure whether or not you can go back to work. This is a very common situation. And the way I answer this question is very simply, can you work? Right? So if you can go back to work, you should probably go back to work. And the reason is there's a couple things, right? You have an obligation to mitigate your damages, which is to keep your damages as low as possible. So if you can work, you should work. You can sometimes have to return to work on a limited basis and ask for physical limitations. But, like let's say you're lifting boxes all the time and moving things around, you may ask for what's called an accommodation to say, hey, can I sit at a desk and answer some emails or whatever it is that you can actually physically do. But if you can go back to work, you should try to go back to work. If you cannot work, then yes, you cannot work. You need to make sure that you document that with doctors, and you have doctors saying that you cannot go back to work. So we've had clients before that are landscapers, and after a really bad car accident, there's absolutely no way they can work, right? And they can testify that I couldn't go back to work, and a jury can use their common sense that, hey, this person had a broken shoulder. How are they gonna lift a palm tree up and put it in the ground? But defense attorneys and defense insurance companies do not like to pay lost wage claims. They fight you tooth and nail on them. So it's very important that you document these. Document the lost wage claim. Get the doctor's note saying that you can't work. Get me pay stubs from 6 weeks to 6 months from before the accident. Get me pay stubs the whole time you're out or on limited duty and not working overtime or the pay is affected. And then get me pay stubs of when you return to work and you're making that money again. It's very, very important that you document that. But if you cannot work, it's okay. But just consider this, right? So our job in a personal injury case is to make you whole, which is to get the money back that you lost. So if you can work and you sit out of work for 2-3 months, right? And let's say you lose $15,000. The best case scenario is that insurance company, years down the road, we're like going to trial, whatever, they've finally given in and said, we'll pay your lost wages. The best case scenario is they pay you $15,000 and you pay taxes on it. So now you're paying taxes on your lost wages, but they've been deferred for 3 years. So wouldn't you rather have that money 3 years ago and be able to pay your bills then? So don't sit out of work just for the benefit of a case. It's not helpful. It's not truthful. We would ask that we want all of our clients to, above all else, be completely truthful. So if you can go back to work, go back to work. And do so on a limited basis. Ask your employers for accommodations. If they won't give you accommodations, then, and you have to sit out from work, we'll keep very good documentation of that. But you don't want to defer that lost wage claim for way down the road, and then way down the road just get paid back the same thing you would have gotten paid anyway back then. So that's sort of how a lost wage claim works. There's also a loss of earning capacity claim, which is your future lost wages, and we'll talk about that in a different video. But for the purposes of this video, a lot of people ask, can I go back to work after this accident? Will that affect my claim? The insurance company is not going to say, oh, well, they always say you're not injured, but there's a reality that somebody can actually be hurt and still be able to do their job, right? I'm a lawyer. Most of my time is spent sitting behind a desk, sitting at a table, meeting with clients, in the courtroom. And so there's elevators at the courthouse. So if I got in an accident and I hurt my neck and back, it would be very hard for me, unless I was actually laying in a hospital bed, to say, hey, I can't do my job. I can do my job with increased pain. And then I make a claim for loss of enjoyment of life and pain and suffering and things like that. But I can do my job. So, now, if we talked about before, if I'm a mechanic or something like that and I'm bending over all day and getting under cars and physically moving things around and lifting up big tires, some neck and back pain might stop me from doing that. So it's really on a case-by-case basis. We advise clients on this on almost every case when we're asked, can I go back to work after my accident? How will it affect my claim? We are happy to answer those questions for you. If you've been involved in an accident or some kind of injury and you're wondering whether or not to go back to work. This is a sort of a separate video besides outside of workers' comp claim. So if you have a workers' comp claim, we'll do some videos on work comp later. But look at those videos about how work comp works. But for the purposes of just a personal injury case outside of the work comp system, if you've suffered your injury actually on the job, the advice would be a little bit different. But if you've suffered your injury outside the job and you're wondering about whether to go back to work, then we'll offer you advice. We'll tell you what to do as far as what you can and can't do. And as you can see, we're going to tell you to be honest about that. But we'll tell you how it'll affect your case. Call us. We're happy to talk to you about it.